As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually.
The United States is ramping up its military operations off the coast of Venezuela, and this time seizing an oil tanker. Take a look at this new video to our monitors here showing that operation. President Donald Trump confirmed the operation during a roundtable with tech leaders just yesterday. Now, this is the first U.S. seizure of an oil cargo from Venezuela. It's also the Trump administration's first known action against a Venezuela-related tanker since ordering a massive military buildup in the Caribbean. Venezuela is now accusing the U.S. of, quote, blatant theft and international piracy. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata has those details.
Venezuela has condemned the seizure of its oil tankers, international piracy and brazen theft. We're learning that Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a phone call with Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro, expressed solidarity with the Venezuelan people. Some Democratic lawmakers are expressing concern. Senator Rand Paul saying it sounds a lot like the beginning of a war. Chris Coons says he is gravely concerned Trump is sleepwalking us into a war with Venezuela. And certainly seizing that oil tanker yesterday has taken tensions with Venezuela to a whole new level. We're learning more of what looks like a multi-agency operation with the backup of the U.S. military, the FBI, and Homeland Security were involved, and elite Coast Guard Special Operations Forces called Maritime Security Response Teams, including sailors and Marines from the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft. That's the largest and most advanced aircraft carrier in the world. They all took part. Officials tell us the interdiction took place without incident. That's a military term. No injuries to anyone, including the crew of the tanker. Is reportedly full of oil and is headed to Cuba. We've tracked that tanker as it entered the Caribbean from the Middle East, from the Far East. And the U.S. has sanctioned Venezuela's oil companies for years, but this specific tanker was seized because it was on the U.S. Treasury's Department's specially designated nationals list for carrying that sanctioned oil from places like Venezuela and Iran, though that was under a different name. And Attorney General Pam Bondi says that makes that ship a legitimate target. So this is all part of the pressure campaign against Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his government, in addition to sanctions, dozens of strikes on suspected drug boats, and that massive military buildup that gets bigger by the day. President Trump saying Maduro's days are numbered, and he has not ruled out a land invasion. And despite those sanctions, there are plenty more oil tankers going in and out of Venezuela. Back to you.
Charlie D'Agata there. Thank you. Let's go live now to the White House and CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman. Willie James, thanks for your time today. Did the president say what the U.S. plans to do with the oil?
Hey there, Mugo. Well, the president did touch on the situation off the coast of Venezuela with the U.S. taking possession of this large oil tanker. The president said is one of the largest seizures ever of this type of oil tanker. But he did touch on potentially what we could see next, but also the situation at hand. Take a listen to what the president said yesterday. Okay, I'm told that we don't have that sound from the president, but he did say that we'll keep it, I guess, and a reporter in the room asked him where does it go, what port it would go to, and the president simply said that you'll have to follow the tanker. So certainly this is a situation in which the U.S. Appears to have escalated this push against Nicolás Maduro, the leader of Venezuela. Of course, we know that the U.S., the president in particular, has blasted Maduro, essentially saying that he's the head of a drug cartel. We, of course, know that oil is a big moneymaker for Venezuela. So the U.S. taking possession of this sanctioned oil tanker certainly is a escalation of sorts. It's unclear what happens with the oil, but the president seemingly saying that we'll potentially keep it. But it's unclear what will happen next from there, though, Mugo.
Yeah, and Willie James, you obviously mentioned Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro there. Is this all part of an effort to remove him from power?
Well, the president has been asked this multiple times, including this week in an interview with Politico, but he was also asked this question by our own reporter, I should say, on 60 Minutes. He was talking to about this situation, I should say, in terms of what could potentially happen to Maduro. Take a listen.
On Venezuela in particular, are Maduro's days as president numbered?
I would say, yeah. I think so, yeah.
So that's Nora O'Donnell there, of course, the correspondent for 60 Minutes, asking the president that question in terms of what happens to Maduro. The president has demurred in terms of regime change, in terms of if Nicolás Maduro would perhaps stay in power. And the president hasn't ruled out military escalation in terms of striking those military targets, those drug cartels in Venezuela, those land strikes. So the president hasn't ruled out that option, but oftentimes when he gets asked this question about whether or not Maduro will stay in power or if the U.S. wants to take him out of power, he essentially demurs, doesn't want to necessarily give away or play all of his cards, or show all of his cards rather, in terms of what he will do next. But certainly a change of action coming here from this administration with the seizure of this oil tanker. The president yesterday said that Colombia could be next. We, of course, know that the president has targeted these nations in large part because of the drug operations the U.S. alleges that are taking place in those nations. Mugo.
All right, Willie James Inman at the White House for us today. Thank you.